Welcome to On the Table, a podcast about board games, card games, and tabletop war games.
Welcome back to On the Table Gaming, and we're in the middle of Marvel Zombie Fever, watching the Marvel Zombies Kickstarter smash through goals while we're waiting for the A Song of Ice and Fire 2022 update to drop. So there'll be lots more of that coming soon, and we're looking forward to popping into checking out the A Song of Ice and Fire events at Captain Con in Rhode Island on February 4th through 6th, and I hope to see some of you in person there. But today, I'm joined by the man of the people, the helper of lay people, Mr. Mike Meeple and Mark. Thank you so much, guys, for coming on the podcast.
Sure, anytime.
That was the greatest introduction and possibly also the worst introduction I've ever heard.
Well, I was told
I've been introduced first.
Mark said he's no longer a Song of Ice and Fire builder. Mark said, I don't need to hype that up as much. So feeling out different titles here. But you're both, men of many talents. And between the two of you, I think we've got such a wealth of comic book knowledge and Kickstarter backing experience. So I'm really grateful to have you back on for our second talk about this topic. Let's jump in talking about CMON's 50th Kickstarter, Marvel Zombies, which has been, by all accounts, I think, smashing through records here. We're, as of right now, in the 4 millions, and we're still only a week in. So how have you both been feeling about the Kickstarter? Mike, maybe starting with you, what's been your initial response to this whole event?
I mean, I've been pretty shocked in a few ways. Like, I was really shocked at how quickly it was funded, right? 4 minutes, it hit its funding goal. And then at I think an hour and a half in, it was at 2 million. It was just absolutely insane. I've never seen anything like it. So I was really, really pleased about that. I was happy for Fabio and Michael Chanel about that. But I was also, I don't know. I was kind of shocked at also how wrong I was last week from some of the predictions that we had made about certain things, and so it was interesting. I was just like, wow. I was looking at everything. I was so wrong about everything that I said last week.
At the same time, in many ways, throughout this past week, you've been so right about so many things. You've been like my go-to whenever they put out one of those daily bugles, like, it might be being revealed tomorrow what this is, and you'd be like, oh, it's that. Like, I can decipher the clues. So you've also been my go-to predictor guy.
I'll take that.
Mark, how have you been feeling about this Kickstarter so far?
Overall, good. I've been up and down on it, probably because normally with these CMON Kickstarters, it seems like there's more of a flurry of stretch goals and things right at the beginning, and you blow past the goal, and then you're unlocking things every 10 minutes for the first 6 hours or something stupid like that. This one, it seems like they adjusted a bit, which at this point I'm in. I mean, it seems like what they did is working between the daily rewards, the 2 a day, and the stretch goals. It's a little different though, so it's took some getting used to. Not as much hype right at the beginning, but I'm pretty excited about what I see right now, and excited to see what else is at it. There's still over a week left. I mean, there's a lot of time left. We're not even halfway through. So
yeah, it's kind of amazing how much time is left and how much we do have. And yet, it was kind of a strange start. I don't know. It did feel different. Now, I haven't backed quite as many Kickstarters as some of you, but initially, not getting those flurry of emails, we got the 2 million pretty quick with that first day, even just the idea that, hey, we're going to be getting 2 a day, those bugle announcements, which is still a lot of miniatures.
Yeah.
But the energy was maybe a little bit more different because maybe it didn't match my excitement for the project, or the stuff that we've seen so far has been so fantastic, and my anticipation was so high, and it definitely felt like a little lag.
It's weird because, well, CMON Kickstarters are completely different than some of these other ones I've backed, because they are a big name. They are going to get a lot of money every time, and they always blow up very quickly. There's a few other companies that do that, but not the typical Kickstarter. So a good example is they put a $500,000 funding goal on this.
Mm-hmm.
They were going to blow past that no matter what. That's
right.
So low for this. Marvel plus Zombicide is huge. And they didn't put in a stretch goal until 2 million. That's just really weird to me. Now, that said, at this point, we're getting a good amount of stuff. It's not even halfway through. I'm not worried about it at this point. But at the beginning, it's like, well, that's kind of a bummer because, you'd think, oh, you'll get one every, few 100,000 after that or something or after that first initial 500,000, but you didn't get it till it was 4 times funded.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I saw some really interesting comments, and it's always fun to see how people take very different approaches to sharing their thoughts and feelings on projects like this. And, there was a call for at one point for people to like drop your pledges to like $1 to send a message to CMON that like we want more, and which is like kind of like slowing down the reveal process in some sense.
Well, it was weird because I think a lot of it has to do with the daily rewards, right? I think because people looked at that and they didn't realize that those were really stretch goals that we had unlocked, right? Because that first day, right, they saw that we unlocked 2 stretch goals. But that's not true because we had also unlocked like the 6 from the daily rewards, right? So realistically, it was 8. We had gotten 8 on that first day, and you look at it like that way. Not to mention, I mean, we're getting 2 of those guaranteed daily rewards. I mean, let's be real here. We're going to get all of the stretch goals no matter what. But we were getting 2 daily rewards each day. That means there's still 20 more figures that we're going to get at least.
And that's not including, additional expansions, that you could purchase. I don't know. It's funny though how there's like a feel to this though, right? And like you want it to feel a certain way. And, it was a little bit different. To be honest, like everything I've seen here has really, knocked out of the park. I was trying to think of like if I had to like rank like what was my favorite. Maybe that'd be easy to do. But if it was like a least favorite miniature, like I guess it's all relative. But I haven't really seen one that I thought was like a bad sculpt or that I was like really disappointed in. So, it's just I'm really excited because I know there's so much more to come. And after the Fantastic Four expansion, that seemed really cool. $50 is a lot, and Fantastic Four isn't necessarily like my favorite thing. When I think back of Fantastic Four, like the movies were never super great. And then I remember when I was a kid getting into comics, like that was more like what I could maybe relate to. My dad knew about like the Fantastic Four and was like more into that than like I was. It was like the old man comic back then. But let's take a second and talk about this Fantastic Four Under Siege expansion, which is going to have the Baxter building. It's basically going to have an elevator mechanics. You're going up and down through this tile set. And you've got the Fantastic Four, and they've also got the Fantastic 3 zombified versions with Mr. Fantastic, the Invisible Woman, and the Thing. No zombie Human Torch. So, but there's a lot in this box. $50 is a bit. But, I think that maybe that price might factor in a lot of other elements. I'm assuming like licensing. Also, we're in a kind of interesting economy at this time for production and shipping. What was your initial reaction? We saw this like kind of awesome trailer. Mark, are you really going to be picking up the Fantastic Four Under Siege box?
Yeah, I really like the kind of almost, it sounded like a gauntlet mechanic where you're going from one floor to the next and you're climbing to the top.
And then you got to wait for the elevator. And like you get stuck on a floor and the elevator's going up. It's like, well.
It feels like something that would happen in a zombie movie, but with Marvel characters. So also the sculpts are really cool for this one. Super Skrull zombie is really neat. I also love Medusa's head being held by Black Bolt. There's some really cool ones.
How about you, Mike?
I think the whole thing reminds me of those old like 1980s, early 90s arcade games like Final Fight and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it does.
They all had that level where it was like you're going up the elevator. Now you got to stand on that elevator and fight everybody, and it just has that feel to it for me, and that was so cool. I think it's a really interesting new gameplay mechanic that you're going to be going from standalone tile to standalone tile. I think that's going to be real cool. I do agree that $50 seems a little high for this, but I do think that a lot of that has to do with licensing, and I also think that a lot of it has to do with just the increase of prices for just general production nowadays. It's kind of crazy. But if we were to wait for retail, maybe at a mini market or something like that, 2 years down the road, we're not going to get that living Super Skrull or the zombie Fantastic 3, sort of a thing. So it's a trade-off, but for me, I'm in it. I'm in for these guys. These were some of the people that I really wanted that hadn't been announced yet. So as soon as they announced, I was like, there's $50. There's an extra $50. There you go. Click, click, click.
And this was one that you were saying was going to be kind of inevitable. If you had to like guess like who would be in the campaign, you'd say Fantastic Four. partially because of their role in the Marvel Zombies lore.
Yeah, I mean, they kind of needed to be. When I saw the trailer and it talked about the portal to another dimension, I was like, that is the comic book. That is, that storyline happens in the comic book, and it's so good. It's so cool.
So the only thing that elevator mechanic is missing is like it needs to be a bigger tile, and you actually fight as you're going up the elevator, kind of like what is it, Turtles Through Time or Turtles in Time? Yeah, where you're going up the elevator fighting.
That is a blast in the past. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So, I mean, that's going to be a nostalgia fueled element here. And I don't know, it's just hard because I'm going to pick it up. Oh, that's another $50. Like they're adding things on. And really what they're revealing is like cool stuff and like how much more money I need to invest into this. Because that's one of the harder things for this overall project is like, it's really hard for me, I'm finding, to be like, well, I don't want that. Like, you don't want to like leave any heroes off the table when you could. I want to have them, it's on brand. I need to have them on the table. This is one of those ones where like the fear of missing out is like really strong.
I think that you need to be prepared because I think we're going to see at least another 2 big box expansions. I'm going to guess that we're going to see a Spider-Verse box,
okay,
that will not have zombie Peter Parker in it, but that's probably where we're gonna get Miles, Gwen, probably Venom and Carnage. And
oh my gosh, that would be awesome.
I'm guessing that's where we're gonna get some of those characters. A zombie Green Goblin or something like that. And then we're also gonna get an Infinity Gems, like an Infinity Gauntlet box with Thanos and the Black Order, which will have some cool mechanic about keeping or collecting the Infinity Stones and all that stuff. I think that'll be another $50 one. The Spider-Verse will probably be, because I don't know if you'd be able to do like different gameplay. Like how much is that going to be a gameplay box, or is that just going to be like a heroes box, like a box of characters? I don't know, but I could see those 2 being add-ons for sure.
They need to have a expansion for well, they won't do this because it would add on to the $410 Galactus pledge or the $880 add-on where you're actually in Galactus, as the kind of like in the comics where he's just floating out there.
You're playing as the zombies and you're actually just eating him bit by bit.
Yes.
Oh, we're in the spleen now. Let's roll for damage.
Gaining the power cosmic as you go.
Was it Rumorg that had PvP in it? I'm trying to remember what the original Zombicide was that had PvP, but do you think there'd be a set that's about that? Like, I feel like that would be so cool to have like zombies versus zombie heroes versus superheroes. But like at the same time, some people have started to point out, the differences in the mechanics with the like lessened health on heroes only having 3 health versus the zombies 5 health. That maybe might make it really hard to balance.
I think it's probably coming. I think they've got all of the pieces assembled. The pieces are on the board, sort of a thing for something like that. But I don't know. When I play Zombicide, I'm not really looking for a competitive experience. I want to have everybody get together and have these crazy fun times of us killing waves and waves of people. I don't need to worry about, but Steve's over there and he might devour that guy before I get a chance to.
Yeah,
I've got Crisis Protocol for that.
That's true. Yeah, I guess you're right. I'm trying to think of what else the boxes could be, like what they could bring. But I guess I'll be surprised. I was surprised at how Galactus, how the mechanics for that work, where there's like different areas you can attack to reduce his abilities, and he's either got his zombie action cards or his living action cards that do things like while you're fighting him. I want to find out more about that.
Let me tell you, so that mechanic sounds very similar to another game that I got. It's a smaller game. It's from this company called Pencil First Games, and it's called Sculpt Hollow, right? And it's all about you playing as one player plays as this tribe of little fox people, and the other player plays as this giant adorable kaiju, right? And when I was reading up about Galactus, it seemed very similar in terms of that idea of you're going and attacking different body parts of Galactus, and you have to do this sort of thing to impede them, and it's a blast. If it's even as close as good as the mechanics in Sculpt Hollow are, everybody's gonna love that gameplay. It's gonna be just the perfect add-on for for the Marvel Zombies.
What stinks about that, though, is that if it's a really great game mode, I kind of want a Galactus now.
I've seen a lot of people asking for two things with Galactus. One of which would fulfill your wants, is that it's a just like a cardboard token for him, and then the rest of everything, and that way you don't have to pay for the giant mini. And the second one is a secondary way to buy Silver Surfer, because I think a lot of people want him, but a lot of people don't want to pay $180 for him.
Yeah.
I mean, they did that. They did the cardboard token thing with Masters of the Universe and Castle Grayskull. So
they did.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if down the line they might do something like that, but I doubt it. I think, I mean, their name is short for Cool Mini or not, man.
Yeah.
And it doesn't get any cooler than that Galactus.
Have you been waffling at all on your abstention from Galactus, Mike?
Okay.
Have you considered it?
I have considered it, but here's the really funny thing: is of all things, the pressure is not coming from my friends to buy this add-on. The pressure is coming from my wife.
Oh my gosh!
I know.
My wife thinks I'm nuts.
My wife has already looked at our shelf space and she's like, you do realize the shelf right behind you where you put most of your stuff can't actually fit that. And so I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it's crazy. Part of it is because, my wife, really likes Fabio. Fabio and I have had some really great conversations. We had that one where we were painting together.
Yeah.
And, we still email each other every now and then. I emailed him to say congrats on the successful Kickstarter. He's just a nice guy to talk to and chat. And my wife really likes him and likes the conversations that I have with him. And she's like, you should support Fabio. You should support him. And I was like,
you're like, excellent.
That's so much money. So I don't know. I'm still waffling back and forth on it. As of the other day, I made some comment and she kind of like did like a harumph thing on the couch, and she's like, you should just buy that Galactus.
There we go.
My wife just stuck her head in the door and nodded, but she heard me say my wife thinks I'm crazy. So yeah, she's not on board with Galactus, especially after I told her it was going to be our centerpiece on our dining table. But
like, I need to actually secure physical space for it, and then before I make a decision, because when I use it, I know it's going to be fantastic, and it's going to be, this is going to be, you get it out there every once in a while for some big kind of centerpiece game, and it's going to be a conversation starter. It's going to add to the immersion of the gameplay. I just got to make sure that when I'm not using it, it's not just like sitting next to my computer desk and I'm like trying to shuffle papers around it or like work around it.
Yeah, you get you got the canned air so that you're spraying it off so it's not constantly collecting dirt. That's what I mean. Like, I don't know how often I'm going to actually play Galactus mode other than like once every now and then sort of a thing. I say this now, right? I've got a buddy of mine
24/7.
I know, right? My buddy Garth is actually getting it all. He's all in. And he only lives like 3 hours away. So when he comes into town, I know we're gonna play Galactus. I just know for a fact we will. But after we play that, I might be like, hey, maybe I can just keep that Galactus from you. I'll buy it off of you, sort of thing. Who knows?
So the big selling point for me was, I think I may have mentioned this the last podcast, was Mini Market has a Cthulhu painted in a case at their local location here, and it's like 10 times better than it looks on the pictures you see online. So I expect this to be the same. I expect it to be that much more epic. So,
is there any miniature that you're particularly liking?
My favorite one that I've seen revealed is Zombie Thor.
Yes, that's what I was gonna say. You took it from me.
Zombie Thor. It's so good. Like, you can see, his arm has ripped off from him because he's still trying to lift Mjolnir.
He's not worthy.
And his face, he looks sad about it. It's so good. It perfectly captures everything about just that grim, macabre humor. Because it's kind of actually a funny mini if you really look at it and think about it. I love it. I love that one.
How about you, Mark?
He took mine. That was that's easily my favorite sculpt. I'm super happy that Juggernaut got put in as the hero he is. So that's good. But sculpt wise, yeah, that Thor is awesome. It's hilarious. It looks good. It's awesome.
I've got a question from Mark. Will you play as anybody else in hero mode other than Juggernaut?
Yes, when someone puts a randomizer in and I have to play as someone else. Yes.
Oh, we better get on that then. That might be
You better get
the
on
thing
that.
we start looking at. I can't believe I didn't think I would really like the zombie characters as much. And it started off with like the first base set. It was like, oh, there's kind of some cool stuff on the bases. Like I like seeing Bucky's arm or Winter Soldier's arm on Captain America's base, or the Hulkbuster suit helmet on the Iron Man miniature. But
Or how about Vision's corpse on zombie Scarlet Witch?
That's the one I want to get to. That I just suddenly I'm like, between Thor and that Scarlet Witch, like the little extras there, God, they are so good. I know we're talking about CMON's Marvel Zombies here, but I think like, any other Marvel game miniature companies should really look at like these bases. I don't need to you have like, imprisoned visions on your bases, but like think about like other creative ways you can put stuff on a base that like tells a story that like gives even more context to like what's going on and who these people are and what they're about. I just, every one of these bases, I think I haven't really seen one. I know there's been some like bystander ones that are like super plain. It's just like a flat base, but like all the heroes, all the zombie heroes, like each one of those has just been absolutely fantastic. There hasn't been a miniature yet that I'm like super not about. I think the Cyclops one is a little weird to me. Like whenever I see that miniature, I, for some reason, always have to like count all his abs to be like, is that right? Like 2, 4, 6, 8. Okay. But it still looks good.
There is one that I can point out that I'm not a big fan of, or it's just not exciting because it is what it is the Psylocke one. It's just kind of there. And the pose just seems awkward to me.
Yeah, it looks very generic superhero. You're right. I'm trying to see on the image, I've got like the Kickstarter exclusive logo. What is that by her lower right, like by her knee?
I believe it's a finger. I want to say like either a Sentinel or probably a Sentinel base. It looks metallic.
Oh, do you think we get a Sentinel expansion?
Man, that would be amazing. If they already did Galactus huge, just throw in another $100 for a Sentinel expansion and include a couple that are about half the size of Galactus,
Man, I feel like, I think I'm just gonna be excited to own these miniatures. It's just like extra icing on the cake that the game's actually really, really fun. Now, there were some comments, people asking about the lack of like weapons depicted. I saw in one of the comments, it was on like Board Game Geek. People were saying, maybe certain characters don't have guns because like Marvel wants to tone down the gun thing. But on the bystanders, like Thunderbolt Ross, Agent Coulson, Sharon Carter, we all see that. So maybe it's just like a stylistic choice.
Well, most of those heroes wouldn't carry a gun. Most of them, they have something better.
I think most of it comes from the fact that it was maybe the shield agents, because if I'm a shield agent and I'm in a zombie apocalypse where I know they can bite me, the first thing I'm grabbing for isn't a club, right? It's not a baton. I'm gonna reach for a gun or some form of projectile weapon. But that said, you wouldn't necessarily think that a walker would, or sorry, not a walker. What are they called? The troopers. Yep. The trooper would rush in and behave in the way that the game needs them to behave, right? If they had the gun. So I don't know. It's a tricky one.
It'd be a very different game if it was just like turn 1, airstrike, attack helicopter, missile. You're like, oh, you're not deploying waves of people against me to feed on?
I would like to think that Magneto has already taken all their guns and they're using the plasticky material from the X-Men movies.
Yes, so. There we go. That's the headcanon now. I made a little reference to that in one of the videos I did where it's just like, we're trying to stun them to study them or something. I was like, why would they be doing that?
It would be really cool if they came out with some form of small box expansion that was like the Deadeye Walkers for Black Plague, where it was like snipers for S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh, speaking of like sniper-esque sort of characters, we haven't seen a Hawkeye. I wonder if we're going to get some characters that we've had recent like Marvel series for. Is anyone out there clamoring for Hawkeye, or is everyone just like, man?
I like Hawkeye. He's cool.
Hawkeye and Kate Bishop would be a good one.
Yeah, I like Hawkeye. I mean, in regards to the gun thing, I think the way that Marvel handled the Marvel United with the Punisher is a good indicator of that too, because Punisher's known for being a gun hero, right? But in Marvel United, they gave him a big fat bazooka, right? So it's like it's not necessarily a gun, but it still gets the point across. I wouldn't be surprised if we got something similar to that with this game, where he's got maybe not necessarily like pistols and a rifle, but maybe he's got like a Gatling gun or something like that. Some ridiculous like get to the chopper kind of weapon.
I mean, they gave Cable a gun in Marvel United.
Oh. That's a good point.
It's kind of futuristic, but it looks like a gun. It looks like a gun. So.
Or maybe it was just one comment on Board Game Geek that I read too much into, started thinking about, and maybe they're just putting whatever they want on the sculpts because they looks cool. Keep thinking back, what could this other box be? What'd you say, Spider-Verse?
Spider-Verse and Black Order would be my next big guesses.
I think that makes sense. I honestly think, it'd be great. They know we have Spider-Man in the game, and there's that's a whole nother huge part of Marvel Comics. The Thanos one, I think, is the one I'm most certain about, because I know Michael had that glove with the gemstone and making that reference. I'm like, there's got to be some Thanos in this game, right? He's too, especially now with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, he's too kind of iconic of a character to not put in. And I wonder what that might look like as far as gameplay.
I think if they put him in, he'll just be a normal character.
Normal character.
Yeah.
Well, and we saw some more stuff about the tiles today coming out, and that was Henning Ludvigsen. We did a recent video talk with him, designing all those tiles, making them look awesome. We're excited to kind of pour over them and try and find as many Easter eggs as possible. But the game's just shaping up to look really amazing. And, we're only in week 1. So, any things that you're looking forward to in the weeks to come that we want to maybe keep an eye out or fingers crossed for?
I don't know if there's anything in particular as much as I'm just excited to see what else comes.
I know. As we were talking, I was like, maybe it'll get that next stretch goal.
They did.
They did. We just did it. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we have Zombie Daredevil, and they just added Namor, a regular Namor. So
I guess the only stretch goal that I'm not about so far, the only extra is the dice. And while it's 6 dice, $10, it is nice to always have extra dice. But that's the one I'm always the least excited for. Even though for a Song of Ice and Fire, I ended up getting some of those dice during the campaign, during the Kickstarter campaign. I didn't go in on that pledge level.
Well, they're just dice.
Yeah,
that's my issue. Is these aren't special dice that have symbols or anything like that.
They have a symbol. There's a symbol.
Yes,
but that's the one. If you roll a 1, it's the teeth mark.
But even that's kind of confusing because the teeth mark look like pips. So it's oh, did I just roll an 8? Is that an 8 that I just got?
That's true.
So I don't know. I don't know. I would say I'm actually pretty interested and excited to see what the next small stuff like that is going to be, right? Because we've got big boxes, which we are assuming there are going to be more of, but some of these small things, where you pimp out your game a little bit, some of that stuff's really cool. What are they going to offer that's going to be $10, $20, in that sort of a range? Because they always do quite a few of things with that as well. Whether it's a guest box or I don't know that we'll get guest boxes like we do for regular Zombicide, but maybe we'll get some other things like extra map tiles to make your own stuff, or maybe a separate thing that's a campaign book that where you can keep track of your progress. I don't know.
Maybe they'll bring back the travel Zombicide and we'll get a smaller Galactus.
I can live without that. I wonder if they'll do additional tile sets. I think the Western one had additional tiles you could buy. I'm wondering if we'll just get a location.
I know they don't really have to do extra player boards anymore because now you got 12. You could play with 12 people if you do the Resistance Pledge, the one that comes with both.
Oh yeah, I guess you're right.
I'll never play with that many people anyway. There's no way I'm ever playing Zombicide with 12 people. But it's there.
Oh come on, now you just got to do it. For Mike Meeple on the Table Gaming Con when we get together.
That'd be awful. That would be so awful to play with 12 people. That would take forever to get to your turn again.
Listen, as a kid, I played Axes and Allies, or those big board games. It'd take us a whole weekend to play. It'd be one of those. It would be an event, a once in a lifetime experience.
I want to spend 9 hours playing a game. I'll play Twilight Imperium or something.
Fair enough. Yeah, you were the one actually was talking about you might go, do some mixing up with other Zombicides, do a Wild West, Juggernaut has found himself in the Wild West.
Yeah.
Can they stop him?
Yeah, so that was the other thing I saw people asking for was they wanted Galactus to cross over into Marvel United. Now, that's great for everyone who has Marvel United, but I don't want that. Because then I'll have to buy Marvel United.
Yes, that's
true. That said, I have Marvel United, but then I'll be like, oh, but I got to get them all now. So
they're not Pokemon, Mark.
Yes, they are. Minis are Pokemon.
All right,
minis are Pokemon.
And Kickstarter is a dangerous thing for you then.
Mike, that is I've never thought of it that way, but you just hit the nail on the head. They are Pokemon.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I'm already. It's funny because I've shown my son some of the stuff he's kind of peeked in on and seen some of our videos that we've done and heard the podcasts and everything like that. And he's 5. He's really into Spider-Man now. And he was like, "So what's going on? What's the game about?" I'm like, "Well, and I just told him, Spider-Man can try and save people from these monsters, sort of a thing." And I was actually thinking about it. I'm like, there's actually, if I really wanted to, and I was kind of already planning on it, is making like a PG-13 version of the game, where you just essentially do the zombie mode, but with the hero mode stuff. So it's like they're fighting like evil shield agents, sort of a thing, and there's not necessarily devouring happening, more as like, they're kidnapping him, kidnapping, sort of a thing. But so I'm also kind of excited to see what the community creates with stuff like that, right? Because that took me like 20 seconds to think of with the sandbox that they gave us, right?
Yeah.
So as more kit comes out and as more stuff comes out, it'll be really interesting to see what that community content looks like.
Seriously. I mean, we're already kicking around ideas about like how fun would it be to make it so you played as the bystanders, or what if you had a mode where you played as like the shield agents and you're like using the old Zombicide cards and like searching for weapons, frying pans, cans of beans, to try and take down Thor or something.
Well, I saw people asking for multiple man to be playable as a actual hero, so you just take a horde of them and run them around the board.
Oh, that would be amazing.
That's
Well, not as a
stretch goal.
hero, as a zombie, of course.
Oh, no, you need him as a hero. Like you need a living multiple man figure that's actually like 5 or 6 of them, and it's like, oh yeah, for your action you get to. I don't know. I'm not
like each one of them is a health. Like you've got.
Yeah, there you go. That's good.
Like
That's good.
3, you're like 3, 4 health character, and each one of them is 1 health point, and you're like zipping around.
You just got like a Song of Ice and Fire tray on the board, moving from space to space.
No, I got rid of the ranks. We don't need any more of that.
That's the one crossover that hasn't happened yet. A Song of Ice and Fire Zombicide. That'll be the with White Walkers or something. We'll see if we ever get there in the books. But I think we covered enough of this week. I'm really excited. Now I gotta wait till next Friday for the next big reveal.
If they're not going to do a Spider-Verse box, where like the last few stretch goals are the Spider-Verse stuff, but if they do a Spider-Verse box, it's gonna be like that's the last one. That's gonna be the thing that's going to kick everything into overdrive for the last 2-3 days.
Do you guys have any expansions you really want that you do or don't expect to get?
Honestly, I've got like a few. I really think it'd be fun to have Venom, to have the Punisher would be cool, to have Nightcrawler, and maybe like Jubilee. Nightcrawler, Jubilee, the old like 90s X-Men era stuff. I think those are characters I'm just like looking for. As far as like expansion boxes, like I don't really know. I kept trying to think of like what did other campaigns have? Like Undead or Alive had there was like a whole like mounted component. I was like, oh,
they had
we have
mounted, they had steampunk, and they had like crazy abominations.
I feel like it would make sense to have, I don't know. You couldn't really fit vehicles in this per se. I don't know. I'm trying to think of like what other crazy stuff they could have.
I would like to see some more Walker variation,
Yeah.
So like the shield snipers, or something like that, or like like some form of zombies that have range, would be nice. I in terms of characters, I'm really holding out hope for like the motorcycle riding Ghost Rider. Like a Ghost Rider that is on a flaming motorcycle, both hero and zombie, minis. I would love that. I think that would look so cool and be so rad.
Professor X maybe would be cool.
Just floating around.
No, Professor X would have 0 speed. He would have a speed of 0, and everybody would just come to him. Right? That would be zombie Professor X. He would just draw everybody towards him.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's one of those where like I don't know what I want, but I just want more and more.
That's where I'm at. I got Juggernaut. I just want a a bunch of variety of characters, and then I want them to add a neoprene map tile pack.
Ooh, interesting.
Neoprene
Have they ever done that before?
No, they haven't, but I love production quality. I'll pay for it.
Interesting.
That's just like a stack of mouse pads that you need to put together.
Exactly.
I wonder, I feel like the tiles have been so crisp in the images, even from the TTS gameplay I got to do, like the tiles look so good. And that's even like, I think a lower resolution that like, don't you lose a little bit of that quality when you print them out on neoprene?
I don't know, but I just remember when I played Imperial Assault a lot, which has tiles, a lot of tiles. I felt like I was always wearing on those tiles.
Gotcha.
Really quickly.
Well,
makes sense.
I was gonna say my playmat for Song of Ice and Fire, which was done by the same artist, right?
Yep, Henning Ludvigsen, yeah.
It looks amazing, and that's eagle-eyed viewers will notice that is the background a lot of times on my videos. So it holds up quality pretty well. So I mean, it's entirely possible that they have like neoprene like mats, for the whole thing where it's like you roll it out and that's the mission. But I don't know that we'd get like a stack of modular neoprene map tiles for you.
Why not, Mike?
I feel like that would run a wee bit expensive. Like those mats don't necessarily come cheap.
Well, could you just imagine like the shipping for it? You get like this huge box. You need like 18 because they need to be double-sided tiles.
That's the one thing I know a lot of people have trouble with, is that the shipping outside of the US and other than a couple other places is really bad. But I mean, that's shipping everywhere right now. It's expensive.
Yeah, shipping is just a mess right now, just worldwide. It doesn't matter if I wanted to mail a letter down the street, it would be everything's expensive now.
So I guess we'll finger crossed. We'll see where those trends go. I wonder if we just keep talking if we'll see another stretch goal break here, but maybe we call it and save something for at the end of next week here. And we still got 10 days to go at this point, so the campaign's still going strong.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what comes.
Well, thank you both so much for coming on and talking with me again. And as always, be sure to check out Mike Meeple's YouTube content and his blog. You've already got some Marvel Crisis Protocol stuff up there that lets people know how to paint superheroes in general, which will be definitely transferable over here. And I'm sure you'll be doing some painting tutorials for all this when it comes out. What we got to see if we can do is there a way to get you one of those Thor minis from San Diego Comic-Con, so you could do a painting video. Be great to have maybe Fabio on if you can get one too, and you could walk him through how to paint it like you did with some of the Song of Ice and Fire stuff.
I know that would be amazing. I don't want to say anything, but I'm working on something, so we'll see.
Fantastic. All right, well, we'll stay tuned then. And Mark, as always, it's always a pleasure to have you on and talk. And people maybe don't know, but throughout the week, Mark is often chatting with me and talking about some stuff he's excited for, or pointing out elements with the Kickstarter and really helping to educate me on a lot of the stuff, since you've got a lot more experience with this. So that's always appreciated.
I feel like Chase is just trying to tell me to stop talking to him.
No, are you kidding me? I love it. What? Oh God, I can always count on you in my Discord too to jump in on other conversations too to stir up trouble or something. So I always appreciate it.
Yeah, I don't have any fun sites or anything I'm doing to point to, so at least I can start shit.
There we go. All right. Well, until next time, thanks everyone for tuning in, and we hope you get your miniatures on the table.
Beep, boop, 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 boop.